It seems that news today has gotten a bit silly. Maybe it's lost what it's meant to be news. Let's give an example. See if you can tell me what sites these news stories are from. Cincinnati police are investigating parents of boy who fell in gorilla enclosure. Can you pick which TV show has aired the most episodes? 12 surprising things that happen to all new mums. Given up? As you might think. It's from BuzzFeed, a self-proclaimed global network for news. The fact that they call themselves news is a pretty important point here. If you went up to someone and said, "Hey, do you read BuzzFeed for your news?" they might point and laugh at you. So let's instead have a look at the ABC, and see if they're any better. Criminal charges possible over US Zoo's gorilla shooting incidents. David Morrison wants Australians to stop saying guys. 3 battles that will decide state of origin. It's all sounding pretty similar, doesn't it? Yet if you read ABC, you'll be seen as highly intelligent and knowledgeable. So, if the difference is in content, what is it then? We could be a bit simple socially minded and say that those who read BuzzFeed may be lacking some intelligence, while those who read the ABC are very book smart. But maybe that's breaking it down a bit too much. So instead, let's look at the journalists behind the news. BuzzFeed is very relaxed in how they show off their journalists, with a short sentence and maybe an email address. In fact, some of their stories are even sponsored. Meanwhile, the ABC's journalists have more information about them, including some of their background, as well as a lack of sponsored news stories. But there's a very similar degree of content in both sites. So what does it all mean? Possibly comes down from how we perceive both companies. We may perceive the ABC as news first and website second, while BuzzFeed may be website first and news second. But those are my own opinions. Some might argue that the ABC is run by corrupt politicians and others who wish to control what we think. But I would say we might as well grab our tinfoil hats, if that's the case. So instead, let's look at the idea of a global community, one where everybody can share information with anyone, regardless of where they are in the world. And we can see that BuzzFeed may be a pretty good accomplisher of this. Their stories engage us in such a way that ABC may not. We may see ABC as the generalized and standardized view of news, while BuzzFeed is a bit different in how it portrays it. We can view this change as Shirley Turkle says, of a tethered self. At a moment of having a thought or feeling, one can have it validated, or one may need to have it validated. We seek validation, not only from our friends and from our colleagues, but also from our news. We want a news that shares our own thoughts and our own feelings with us. And this change over use in media isn't exactly new. As Convoy and Steele said when referencing Preston's 2004 paper, newspapers had to continue this process of refinement, increasing their function as arbiters of taste, opinion, and identity, to such an extent that the news function now seems almost entirely obsolete. With the internet, space is no longer an issue, and it only relies on time, how much time we have to look at news. So it makes sense that we look at places that interest us, and which have our same interests. So news is just evolving, like the newspaper did. News is now more unique than ever before, and maybe that's a good thing. The internet's caused so many changes in the world, and news is just one of them. I wonder what news will be like in 10 years' time.